What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Wire2Wire Sports Podcast. I just want to ask a question real quick. 7 o'clock on the dot. Where's Usher, Control?
In his drop top.
See? But where are y'all? Y'all listening to Wire2Wire Sports Podcast. I'm the NFL genius, Gene Walls, in the upper left corner. Got Kent State's own, Cleveland's own. I don't know if he wants to claim Cleveland anymore or Ohio after this past week. He wants to move. I would move. I would move out of my state if that happened to me. But college Cottrell, just call him like professional Cottrell this week. He's not a college guy. He's into the Browns. He's into Jameis Winston. How you feeling today, Cottrell?
I'm all right. You know, it's definitely stung. It's stung for the last 3 days there. I've finally come off the ledge. You know, it's signing day. You know, I got some good news from signing, and I'm looking at the bigger picture now. Like I had the weekend and Monday and Tuesday to really sulk and, you know, get all of my Fire Ryan Day thoughts out of my head. But now I'm focused on the playoffs here. So I'm looking ahead here. We ranked 6 in the playoff, and that's what I'm looking forward to at this moment.
Oh, we're going to get into the rankings because those rankings are wild. And you guys predicted it. You guys called it weeks ago what was going to happen. Upper right corner, Scholastic Shally, Uncle Shally. Didn't have much to cheer for this year in U of M, but that all changed on Friday. His Michigan Wolverines went above 500 for the first time in the season. I'm kidding. I don't know if that's accurate, but but doesn't matter, right? If you're not going to win the national championship, there's one game you got to win, right?
Yep.
Tell us how you feel tonight, Shal.
Gentlemen, I'm feeling dandy. This little helmet here, these gentlemen showed up on Saturday, took care of business for the 4th year in a row. Largest spread in the history of the rivalry. Went into the horseshoe, a.k.a. the toilet bowl, and took care of business. I'm feeling incredible. There's nothing, no matter how bad work is this week, how bad the weather is, I just wake up with a smile on my face this week. It's lovely. It's lovely.
Did you have a smile today at noon? Just wondering.
No, because you guys are assholes. And listen,
we're going to put you a poll later on.
It might be my you got to be kidding me. Like just grown ass men crying about fantasy football. But all right.
First of all, I did exactly what I should have done. I had a great time today. I was trolling people. I did exactly what I should have been done.
I had a great time too.
Yeah, well, that's good because Brandon went home and kicked the shit out of his puppy probably. So that thing is probably dead.
You have a lot of friends that like hit women and dogs and stuff. That's kind of weird.
Whoa! I don't.
That is quite the accusation.
That's not quite accurate there, bud.
You just said Brandon goes and kicks his dog. You told me another Brandon that we know was going to go home and beat his wife after he had a bad softball game. This is not an act. This is an accurate statement.
You gotta watch Brandon.
Brandon Bose is just as much as your friend as he is mine, and he plays for you.
He plays for you also.
Not on that night when he was gonna go home and beat his wife.
What kind of ship are you running, Gene?
I don't know. Listen, we have background checks on this team.
Oh, you know what, Bill? It's all making sense now. That's why Gene's the Kirby Smart guy. He just lets things fly. No morals.
Listen, our softball team's like a pirate ship, bro. Just all kinds of shady shit going on.
What? We have definitely the most wholesome team in the league. There's no doubt about it. We got a lot to talk about sports-wise tonight. NFL got a crazy
got
thing
off that
going on.
real quick.
Well, no, it's definitely the best team, you know, as far as wholesome, teamwork, camaraderie, friendship. That's our squad. He spent $800 on popcorn preparing for tonight. I'm sorry. But Brad is waiting for the Michigan-Ohio State trash.
We'll be there soon enough.
But we'll talk about conference championship week in college football this week. We're going to talk about some big conference championship games. Now, Cottrell, I don't mean to rub dirt or rub salt in the wounds. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm not.
Pour it in.
But Last year, there was a show right around this time where you guys were making fun of me for being a Penn State fan. And Cottrell said, when was the last time you guys even played in a Big Ten championship? Well, Cottrell, I can answer that question. We'll be playing in that Big Ten championship Saturday night.
You're welcome.
That's fine. I appreciated it. It came with luck.
I can say you're welcome. I don't think you could say you're welcome.
What do you mean?
I mean, we're the reason you're going.
I mean, you could say that. The fact that we only lost one game all year is the reason that we're going.
No,
I mean, you didn't control your own destiny by any means. So
correct. So I'll say it again. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Listen, thank you, Michigan, for beating Ohio State yet again. I feel bad for Cottrell. I do. So we're gonna get off that topic. I don't want to beat up too much. We're gonna get college football shortly. We have UFC. We have You Got to Be Kidding Me. We might see
Alex cannot wait for Saturday.
Why?
Just chomping at the bit. Get his hands on Cottrell.
I mean, I get it. I don't think he should be able to be excited and waiting for Saturday for the Big Ten championship, though, because he's got a rude awakening.
Oh, you're back on board.
Oh, Penn State's going to win that game Saturday.
Here we go.
They are.
This is
all right.
I'm just
listen. You're back.
Listen. I'm not even going to rain your parade. I am glad that 4 years into the show, Gene has made the conference championship week on his actual team. That is a record. Hold
on.
I don't think we could actually break it at this point. I think.
But here's the thing, though. This is what I want to bring up. I think that. Did I pick Penn State to beat Ohio State this year?
Yeah, you do every year.
I did not. I said they were going to lose. And I laughed at James Franklin. I said, we always lose those games. And I texted it in the group. And I took them plus the points because I wanted to cover the spread because I couldn't pick against them. But I took them. They're going to win Saturday outright. Forget the points. They're going to win the game. Now, with that being said, by the way, thank you, Jeff, for stopping by. With that being said, they are going to win Saturday, and they are going to have a tremendous loss versus like SMU or like Notre Dame, Miami. One of those teams is going to beat Penn State the first college football playoff game they play.
It ain't going to be Miami, and it won't be Notre Dame because they won't be able to play each other. I promise you, we'll get into it, but as long as SMU wins on Saturday, there's nobody signing up to willingly play that football team next weekend. Nobody. I wouldn't.
Well, SMU wouldn't be playing next weekend, right?
It would depend.
SMU would be a top 4 seed because they win their conference.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, unless something crazy happened. If Arizona State
they would
do something wild.
Yeah.
What's up, kneecap biting? You're crazy, Gene. You know how Jimmy Franks is going to go all Ryan Day. No, I think he'll go Ryan Day in the college football playoff. I don't think that Oregon team is tougher than Penn State. I think that he'll win the football game because I think the defense, but we'll talk about that when we get into college football. We got NFL to get into. I'll get into that, I promise. But I'm telling you right now, I'm marking my stake now. In Indianapolis, Saturday night, 9 o'clock, you're going to see Oregon go down for the first time. That's what you're going to see. And you guys don't have to agree with me. That's okay. I don't want you to agree with me. I like being out on my ledge. That's where I want to be at. I want to start this week by talking about a topic in the NFL that's been talked about all week. And I'm hoping you guys see it the same way I do. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm not hoping you guys see it. Maybe I want to argue tonight. But there's been a huge debate going on in the NFL landscape about the hit for Azeez Al-Shaair on Trevor Lawrence and on the slide. Now, on one side of the debate, it's a dirty hit. It's helmet to helmet. It's shoulder to helmet. It's everything they teach you not to do. And on the other side of the argument is he slid late. He's sliding by the first down. There's a lot of if you don't want your quarterback to get hit, don't make him a runner. It's a designed run play. And you're hearing both sides of these arguments happening on ESPN, on any network talking about sports. And I wanted to get your guys' opinion on it because I have a very strong opinion on it. Mine is
very, very easy. I think the hit was, I don't want to say dirty, but it was dirty. But with that said, Trevor slid late. I mean, you can't have defenders that run 4.4s, 4.5s, and expect them to just slow up and not make that kind of tackle there, especially when you see quarterbacks play around with the, sliding or trying to go out of bounds, things like that. I get it. Trevor was in the middle of the field there. Out of bounds wasn't a factor here. But we see it all the times with Mahomes. He plays that game on the sideline. We've seen Caleb Williams play that game on the sideline. And hell, Amon-Ra even came out and had a podcast and was talking about how Dan Campbell told the guys beforehand, hey, if he wants to play around on the sidelines like that, you hit him anyway. I've already talked to the refs. You hit him. So I think you need to figure out how to enforce that quarterback slide. Quarterbacks need to give themselves up earlier. You cannot wait until the absolute last second and expect the defender to just stop dead in his tracks and not try to hit you. Because if Trevor's a 6'5", 6'6" quarterback, if Trevor wanted to try and run through that guy, 100% he could have had the opportunity to do so. So I think Trevor's got to get down earlier in that spot because, I mean, these guys are crazy athletes on the field there, and it is quite literally impossible for them to just stop dead in their tracks like that. Was it an extra hit? Yes, I do think it was extra. It went right directly to his head there. But to me, I think this is more about NFL refs aren't policing the slide how they should. If you get quarterbacks that slide, it needs to literally every single time, it needs to be where they initiate the slide. Let them go down, early. Don't let quarterbacks tiptoe the line and things like that, and play that kind of game with these hits, because that is a result of why that happened. So I think Azeez did too much with the contact itself there, but ultimately the reason why this happened is because quarterbacks try to toe the line of sliding at the very last possible second.
Now, Shai, before you go, I want to let everybody know in the comments. I will get to your comments. I promise you. I see all your comments in there, but I want to get Cottrell's opinion, Bill's opinion, and then I'll get into the comments of mine. Yeah, Bill.
So for me, I think the problem with it is this: it's not a clean hit by the letter of the law, and it's not, even if you're taking into consideration, and a lot of with what Cottrell said, I agree with. But that's still being said, it was still, forcible, a forcible tackle to the head or neck area. He is defenseless that way. There's got to be an in between, but the part of it you do have to take away is the part that Cottrell said. We saw it last year or 2 years ago with Kenny Pickett with the fake slide. I mean, you're seeing it more and more. Like Cottrell said, when you have these guys running 4.4 and they're running from 15 yards away, and then all of a sudden he gets to your feet and he wants to slide, and then you're not allowed to touch him anymore. That's not realistic. If you watch it, and again, Trevor Lawrence is a good athlete in himself. He's not a slow moving quarterback. Like he runs a 4.6. Like he's a quick guy. So when you watch that happen in slow motion, you see that Trevor is halfway into a slide, and you see Azeez is already bent over trying to start the tackle. Now, when you watch it bang bang and watch it in real time, it looks horrible, and it was horrible. He was definitely knocked unconscious. But that being said, like I said, if you slow it down and watch it frame per frame, he is starting to bend down to make a tackle before Trevor is fully even on the ground yet. They have to do something, and I don't know if they protect the quarterbacks, as in, if you start your slide instead of going to like the back of the slide is, you give it to like where their feet is. I don't know what you do. That'll let guys get down earlier and avoid the big hits, because that's part of it too. Like Cottrell said, he's trying to get to the first down. If you start your slide and the markers at where your knee is, you're not getting that spot. It's going to be where the furthest part of your body back is, where you start your slide. So I don't know if they change that aspect of the rule. Because from the tackling point of view, parts of that, in Trevor's defense can't change. You still can't hit a guy, with your head on helmet or shoulder to helmet. So that part can't get changed. So that part is, it's never going to be completely unavoidable. But at the same time, tacklers do have a responsibility to not hit the guys there. If he drives his shoulder through Trevor's chest, a lot of this isn't even a thing. but he did. He hit him in the head. He knocked him out cold. Like, so that can't happen either. So I think there's got to be give and take on the quarterbacks. I think the NFL has to look at it and find a different way to protect them. But that being said, too, they can't be fake and sliding anymore. Like, that's got to be a penalty. Either give yourself up or you run and you're a runner. It's got to be one or the other. Because, like you said, you can't ask these guys that are 240, running 20 miles an hour, be like, oh, he's sliding, and then he just takes like a jab step and it keeps going, and then like, oh, now he gets another 10 yards because I'm not allowed to touch that guy. That's not fair either. So I think both sides need to come together, still protect the quarterbacks, but at the same time, you got to take a little bit away from them as well and give these other guys a little bit of leeway. But that being said, Aziz just can't. I mean, you can't rip your shoulder and your helmet through a quarterback's face mask either, because that's pretty much what happened.
Here's the issue. First of all, I'm all about, like, I hate that these quarterbacks get so much leniency and they're able to slide late. And I'm almost always on the side. I didn't think the Kiko Alonso hit on Joe Flacco was that bad. Like, you go 4 or 5 years ago at the Miami Dolphins, Baltimore Ravens. I didn't think that hit was that bad, right?
It's very similar.
Okay, I didn't think that hit was that bad. But what ends up happening is this. This is long overdue to be a conversation, but Aziz Al-Shahir is the absolute wrong subject of this conversation. This is not where you want to plant your flag. This is not. It was a dirty hit. He deserves to be suspended. He led with his head and forearm, and he has a history of doing this. He's got video of him choking Tom Brady. He's got another video of a dirty hit on Caleb Williams. There's literally, I'm not kidding with you, just search it. Aziz Al-Shahir, like, has had 7, there's like a video compilation in the last 2 years of like the things he's done that have been absolutely dirty. Plays he's been fined for that were awful, right? Danny says dirty hit led with his head and forearm directly at the head. John says you are seeing more of an issue because OCs have been running more quarterback run plays. Question is, why didn't Trevor run towards out of bounds? Okay, go back to the old school rules. I'm with that. Kneecap biting. Completely agree. If Aziz didn't have a track record of doing dirty things in the NFL, he wouldn't have been suspended. Trevor started his slide before Aziz left the team. It was vicious and intentional. Throwing the tantrum in front of him was to cause maximum impact. He did that while in the air, throwing the forearm. Sorry, not tantrum. He also isn't on the list for the first time. This also isn't his first time. It was third down. He was running for a first down. He couldn't slide early. I get it, but then you can't argue about the hit.
He still slid before the sticks, though. So.
100%. 2.5 yards was the space between them. We've seen plenty of defenders not even try to make that tackle in the same situation. My point is very, very clear. This needed to be a conversation a while ago. This is not the case study for the conversation. It was a dirty hit, and Al-Shahir deserves to be suspended. And I love, and here's the one thing I'll tell you about Doug teams and about that Jacksonville team. Everyone, from the ball boys to the coaches to the players, got involved in this. That, for a team that has 2 wins this year, where it's so easy to check out, I'll give credit where credit's due. That team responded. I love that. But the hit was dirty. And this is not where you stake your claim. Should have been fined, should have been suspended. This is not the conversation.
3 games is egregious. I'm
sure
hoping
they'll appeal it and it'll be 1. I'm sure that's going to happen.
On appeal, if it's 1, I'm fine with that. My thing too is, if you want to say that he's dirty, I'm fine with that. I mean, I've seen the plays that you're referring to, with that. If that's the case, though, the NFL should have suspended him before. Like, if it's all this, you're talking 2 years at this point.
Yeah. You
just let it go all the way up until this happens, and then you're like, all right, 3-game suspension. Like, just right there, right then and there. That's like my issue with it. So, like, if players have this track record, after the first time, you get the warning, whatever the fine. Second time, depending on what it is, maybe another fine. That third time, it should be a 1-game suspension. No matter, there's nothing really to think about here. It's starting to turn into a pattern, similar to how we saw last year or 2 years at this point with Draymond Green in the NBA. Yeah. It was turning into a pattern. You suspend them, and you just try to nip that in the bud when you can. Like, I understand the aspect of, you're saying that this isn't the one that you want to stake your claim in necessarily, but this is a problem in the NFL, and this is just the most recent issue that we're having right now. So, I mean, I think with Aziz, like I said, I think the play itself was dirty, but we're here because of the bigger issue that's going on right now in the NFL.
It's his 8th fine. So you're right. The NFL should have took a stand. It's his 8th fine this year. So they should have took a stand. It's definitely, we'll see.
You toe the line until you cross it. I mean,
you cross
I think he well went past that line. But another thing I want to talk about that happened last Thursday, and this is not controversial, but it's almost a laughable thing, and I almost use it as my "you got to be kidding me" because of how laughable it is. Now, if you settled down Sunday afternoon or Thursday afternoon, getting ready for your turkey dinner, and you were watching the Lions-Bears, you started to see a game in which you thought was going to be a Lions blowout. They looked perfect in the first half. The Chicago Bears made a valiant effort at a comeback and got themselves into field goal range. And then one of the worst goofs you will ever see in clock management ever happened. Caleb Williams got a sack from basically an untouched edge rusher on the right side. And instead of using the last time out, which Matt Eberflus should have did right away, instead of having a check play at the line to call with 15 seconds left when they got back to the line of scrimmage, Caleb Williams checked to a different play, took him about 5 to 6 seconds to check to the play, end up snapping the ball with 5-6 seconds left, throwing a bomb that ended incomplete with no time left on the clock, no timeouts, and no attempt at a game-tying field goal. Before I ask your opinions on this, I just want to give you the transcript of what Matt Eberflus said in the post-game press conference.
That's the worst part.
I don't think we did anything wrong. I think they handled it perfectly. Are you out of your mind? You ended the game with a timeout in your pocket in field goal range. Are you out of your mind? Now, granted, they weren't in field goal range in a sense that it's like 58 yards from where they were. I think they're at the 41 or 42 after the sack. It might have even been further. But if you call that timeout with 19, 20 seconds left, when that play basically ends, you get an opportunity to throw a ball, get out of bounds, and then spike it. If you can't get out of bounds. 20 seconds is about that time. You let that clock run down, you better have a play called and snapped at 13 seconds. What the Bears did on that last drive was atrocious. And for the coach to kind of it's funny because you look at the media and it's like, well, why didn't Caleb call timeout? Why did Caleb check the play? Are you out of your – it's a rookie quarterback. That's what the head coach is for. I'm embarrassed that I said – and this is the worst thing, right? I had the best feeling of Matt Eberflus the entire time of him being a coach. He's terrible. He's awful. He needs to be fired. He's terrible. He's awful. He needs to be fired. And then I tricked myself by watching Hard Knocks this year. I'm like, he might be a pretty good coach. Maybe I was wrong about Mr. Eberflus. I was not wrong about Mr. Eberflus. He sucks. He's terrible. And he got fired the next day. I think it's the first time ever the Bears have fired a coach in season. They don't ever fire coaches in season. Embarrassing, to say the least. Your thoughts, gentlemen?
I look at it a little bit differently, not in that he doesn't, obviously deserve a lot of the blame in this. I actually think he let it go to like as almost like a learning experience and see what Caleb was going to do. Now, to your point, when you see him starting to sit there and check and you're watching the seconds come off the clock, it then becomes, okay, Caleb isn't handling this correctly. Call a timeout. We still have 14, 15 seconds left. Like you said, you can run a play or two, get closer, kick the field goal. So that's where he has to step in. I don't have a problem with him kind of giving Caleb the leash to see what he's going to do and see how he handles it as a rookie, because it's something he's going to have to learn in real game. But again, you have to kind of be the fail-safe for your rookie quarterback, and at some point be like, all right, he's around the line. He's not getting ready to snap the ball. he's checking into something else. Like, we're not going to do what we need to do here. You got to call time out there and almost save Caleb from himself. That's what you need to do there. So that's where he went super wrong. I think the next day, I think the comments in the press conference was him not really wanting to put Caleb in that spotlight at all, or let anybody put any type of blame on Caleb and kind of take, not necessarily take the blame for it, but be like, you know what, I wanted to see what he was going to do. I didn't think it was terrible. It didn't work out. I just don't think he wanted any negativity coming down to Caleb. And then on top, then the next day he gets fired. So it's like,
Bill, I hear your point there, but you don't have to put it on Caleb. Hey, you go to the media. Hey, I fucked that one up. I'm not gonna lie to you. I should have took the timeout. Caleb, he was rolling that drive. If I should have took that timeout. Clearly he saw something out there that he didn't like. That's why he checked the play. At that point, I should have called timeout. That's on me. I love what Caleb was doing. Looked great in that second half. He really responded. The Lions, they have a great defense. Eric Glenn's been coaching his ass off over in Detroit. This is on me. This is on me here. If you go out and say that, you have a shot at least making it to the end of the season. But you go out there and you say we executed perfectly. I thought everybody did their job. Like I thought it was all fine. As a GM, like Ryan Poles probably heard that and was like, "There's no way we can keep this guy. Like I can't stick my neck out for this guy." And he thinks the way that they handled that in field goal range with, at the time, like 35 seconds left before the sack, and both those plays happened. Like they were legitimately in field. They could have kicked it from there. They were at like 25-yard line or something like that. Bad sack happens, and obviously we saw the debacle after. No, they were at a point before that like bad sack happened. They were close.
Let me see. I got the play chart right here. I just want to see where it specifically it was, because if you're right, that's wild. Yeah, you're right. No, wait. Yeah. So 2nd and 10 at the Detroit 25.
Yeah.
Penalty, illegal use of hands, 10-yard penalty, moved him back from the 25 to the 35. Then Caleb was sacked from the 35 to the 41. And then the incomplete pass to Roma Dunze to end the game. They were at the 25-yard line.
With like 35, like 35
43 seconds left at the 25-yard line. If you told me this game would end on a Hail Mary throw with the timeout in your pocket, I would be perplexed.
I think if Eberflus would have just took it on the chin, I'm not saying he keeps his job like throughout the rest of the year, but I think he gets a shot to at least coach this week against the 49ers.
Speaking of the 49ers, and that leads me right into the next topic. Sad injury. Christian McCaffrey battled back from the Achilles this year, and now he's out for the season with a season-ending injury. Really hurt my fantasy trade that I made. I'm kidding. Wish the best to Christian McCaffrey. It's awful to see him go down with a terrible injury. You could tell right away. I don't like. Do you think one injury had to do with the other?
Yeah.
Yes.
Probably. Anytime you get something like that,
I kind of want to get your opinion on that, because like I almost thought 5 weeks ago they should have shut CMC down for the year. But
I think I promise you there was discussions about it. I guarantee you they sat in a room and said, we're barely 500. We have injuries all over the team, the rest of the places, defense. Ayuk's out for the season already. Like, are we really, Purdy's banged up? Are we really making a deep run? Like, is it really worth him coming back? They decided to let him come back. It's one of those things, with his rehab, he wasn't going full speed. His legs are probably not in the shape that he would ideally like them to be. And then on top of that, you're then playing on a snow-covered field. It's just unfortunately for him, it was just a perfect storm of just bad break after bad break after bad break. There's no way he's going to play the rest of the year. So I think he's lucky that he got out there with a sprain and nothing structural. Yeah, nothing really structurally wrong and anything like that. He'll heal. He'll rehab, no surgery, and I think he'll be ready to go next year.
Yeah, I think whenever you deal with those kinds of injuries, like it's it's really a matter of time before it goes out. Like for me, it reminded me so much of, again, different sports here, but it reminded me so much of when Kevin Durant was playing for the Warriors and they were in the NBA finals, and, he had basically been hurt, the entire series or whatever, like leading up to that. And then he goes out there and he tears his Achilles, and, that was it for him. I just think it's a compound of a lot of things there. Not being able to play actual football like at the speed of, these NFL games for 12, 13 weeks. Like it's a lot on the body there. And what Christian McCaffrey can do when he's 100% healthy, he's one of the most elusive guys in the entire NFL there. So you want to go out there, you want to trust your body. But at that point, he wasn't where, a normal 100% healthy Christian McCaffrey would be. And his body gave out on him. So, I mean, I do think it was a combination of, the elements that were in Buffalo, but also the pre-existing injury that he had there. But I mean, there's really no way you could tell, because like they said before, leading up to this, he was full go in practice. He had even played the week before, and he didn't look like normal CMC, but he still looked like he was good enough to play. And I'm sure he felt fine afterwards, which is why he wanted to keep going there. So like Bill said, though, it's good that he didn't come out with any true structural damage there. So I'm assuming he's going to rehab it and be good to go by the start of next season.
Yeah, I don't think so, Derek. I think he'll be back next year. He has stuff he thinks he's done for life.
Oh, God, might not be the same, but he's not done.
We'll talk about this a little bit more tomorrow night than we will tonight, Jeremy. I picked this game, and I'll get into it a little bit. But getting into this week, I want to close out last week with one thing. It's not very often, and it feels like it's been every week recently, because I think they're the best team in football right now. But it's not very often we get to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles, because it's an all-sport show. But recently, the Philadelphia Eagles have been part of a lot of conversations. And the game of the week in the NFL was the Eagles-Ravens. Philadelphia at Baltimore. I didn't have a good feeling going into the football game. I thought the Eagles would lose this football game. Playing at Baltimore, back-to-back road games versus two potential playoff opponents. The Rams are very close. Obviously, they're in the playoff mix now. The Ravens are all but in. Eagles go down 9-0. Justin Tucker's really looked bad this year, but that's just not here nor there. The Eagles bullied them from 9-0 to 21-12. They absolutely bullied them from 9-0 to 21-12. Lamar missed one pass to Isaiah Likely, but other than that Eagles defense looked awesome. Vic Fangio has done a phenomenal job with guys like Zach Bond, who, I don't want to call him a journeyman, but he wasn't really making a huge name for himself in the league coming from New Orleans. He looks incredible. Josh Sweat looks awesome this year. Jalen Carter looks a million times better this year than he did last year. And to be fair, don't want to be this guy. The last 2 weeks, the Eagles have not got the calls either. With that being said, they went into Baltimore and absolutely bullied the Ravens. Saquon Barkley outran Derrick Henry. Jalen Hurts was more efficient than Lamar Jackson. And the Eagles defense played better than the Ravens defense. And if it weren't for a garbage time touchdown with 8 seconds left in the game, the Philadelphia Eagles basically went down 9-0 and won the rest of the game 24-3. They didn't even try to score on their last drive after they stopped them. They just ran clock and kicked the field goal, which, by the way, officiating the NFL is out of their mind. They pick up a flag due to garbage time, ends up costing me a game in fantasy football, which is a joke. Like, it's the easiest hold you can see in the entire world. They threw the flag and then they picked it up. I don't know how that happens. But the Eagles dominated Baltimore this game. So I'm going to ask this question. Are the Eagles the best team in the NFL right now? I'm not saying if you think they're going to win the Super Bowl. But right now, going into next week, if you were doing your power rankings, where do you have the Philadelphia Eagles? Because I have them 1. Cottrell, being the non-Philadelphia Eagles fan, I'm very interested to hear where you have them.
I mean, when they play like that, it's hard to argue it. For me, I'd have them at number 2. So I give the Lions the slight edge, just because I at the moment I trust the offense a smidge more. I know Jalen looked great. Saquon has been playing out of his mind, and we should be talking about him. And we did last week a little bit, but in legitimate MVP discussions there. But for me, I mean, I think it's 1A, 1B between the Lions and the Eagles. Like I can't wait, because right now it feels like we're on this collision course for that matchup in the NFC Championship game, and I can't wait to see it. But I think
Can I
those
nicely
are the
argue with you without homerism just for 1 second?
Sure.
I was with you on the Lions being ahead of the Eagles 2 weeks ago. The Lions' injuries are piling up. They're getting to the point where I feel like, look, I'll give it away. I'd love the Packers tomorrow night. I think the Packers go into Detroit tomorrow night and win that football game. And I don't think it's rather close. I think it's actually going to be a very bad game for the Detroit Lions. Love the Packers tomorrow because of all the injuries, right? There's so many injuries on that Lions team. Now, I didn't say, are they going to beat them in January? I'm asking who the best team in football is right now, and it should be resounding Philadelphia Eagles.
But yeah, you talk about these injuries, but they haven't lost a game since week 2. Like, these injuries keep happening, and they keep finding ways to win the football game.
Do you think they look good versus the Bears, particularly in the second half when they lost Rodrigo?
I think in the first half they look great. And
they lost 2 players.
Correct, yeah, but you don't game plan. You don't game plan to not have those 2 players. Like, I think it's different when you lose players during the middle of a game versus losing them, and then the following weeks you kind of game plan around them. Like, there were guys that went into that game that, I mean, if you're a 2 in the NFL, like you have to be ready. There's always the adage of next man up. But when you are actually going through the game plan throughout the week, it's different. It's a lot different.
John has these 5 in. I don't know if it's in order. He has Bills, Eagles, Steelers, Lions, KC. That would be my top. I don't think that's in order because there's no way you could put the Lions or Steelers over the Lions. But in my opinion, Shally, are the Eagles best team in football in that order?
Yuck.
Yeah, I mean, if you're making a statement, who's playing the best football right now?
Oh, power rankings right now. Who's your number 1?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say anybody's playing better football than them. And in regards to injuries, I mean, they haven't been healthy. I mean, Devonta's been on a couple weeks now. This last week they didn't have Slay. Goddard got hurt. I mean, it's depth is part of being a good football team. Cooper DeJean has stepped up and played incredible. The times he's been able to get in the game and
started now. So
he is started now. Reed got hurt again on Sunday.
Concussion, which, by the way, want to commend Reed Blankenship or Cooper DeJean and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson on that play, because what happened on that play made me feel so good about my football team in their soul. He had a concussion and he was trying to run back to the huddle, and Cooper DeJean and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson both stopped him and then alerted the medical professionals and said, get him off the field, get him checked for a concussion. Darius Slay had a concussion, was about to start going back into the game, and the Eagles medical professionals and their players, no, dude, check yourself out, get cleared for it. I love that they care about their teammates that much. There's so many times where you see players, look, how many times did we say it? We knew Tua had a concussion and then went back in the game, and we knew, I'll be completely frank with you, in the Eagles-Washington game, there's no way Jalen Hurts didn't have a concussion. That bothered me. Now, granted, the Eagles won the football game and he played better, but there's no way Jalen didn't have a concussion that game. We see it so many times where players don't do that. So, Shally, I apologize to interrupt you, but I love that. I want to mention that part.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be a very – the locker room seems to have kind of healed whatever issue was in it. And I don't know if that was finally Jalen and Nick, putting the swords away and everything else, and everybody kind of rallied around that or what's going on. But it is a very talented group of football players all moving in the same direction right now, and that's a force. That's a hard thing to stop. It's a hard thing to beat. We talked about in previous weeks how after the first couple, Kellen Moore really got in tune with the offense and how great that unit looked. And I think Vic's caught up now. Vic is using the guys. He has a real good feel of what he wants to do and who he wants to send and what coverages he wants to disguise and who he wants to do it with. And I think him and Kellen Moore are just calling incredible football games right now. And with the talent that is on the field, it kind of gets fun. It's just fun to move chess pieces around like that and know plays are going to be made, and they're being made at a high level. And that's what the Eagles are doing right now.
Now, there's 2 games of this week that we need to cover that are both games of the week. And one's on a Thursday and one's on a Monday. Neither are on Sunday. If you want a more in-depth breakdown of Lions-Packers, we do have sideline to sideline tomorrow night that will break down that game specifically. But I do want to get your opinions on the Lions versus Packers Thursday night football. Normally, this is on short rest. But for both of these teams who just played last Thursday, it is not on short rest. It's a full week of rest. I love this moment for both these NFC North teams. I already told you. It's already one of my picks. I'm on the Packers big here. No DJ Reader. I believe the Lions are missing both their starting defensive tackles. Aiden Hutchinson's obviously out for the year. They're missing one of their offensive linemen, Taylor Decker. They're struggling. Now, Jai Alexander is still out for Green Bay, but Green Bay has shown you through the last few weeks that defense is much different this year than it was last year. And to be honest with you, I know they look good to begin this season, but they look a lot better with Robert Saleh on that sideline, helping as an assistant coach or what are they calling him? A senior advisor. I love that. I love the Packers in this football game. Where are you guys at?
Good, Joe.
For me, I'm rolling with the Lions. More things change, more they stay the same. Lions went into Green Bay earlier this year, took care of business. I think the Lions are the better football team. You talk about the injuries. I think they have a very, very next man up approach to football. I think they'll still be able to run the ball even without Decker there. Maybe you see a lot more runs to Penei Sewell's side now. Between Montgomery and Gibbs, I think just what they have on the true core of their offense, I think will be perfectly fine there. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I mean, yeah, they've been banged up, but they've been playing some really good football as well on that side of the ball as well. Give Aaron Glenn a lot of credit. I think he's a name that's going to be talked about, come coaching carousel time when the season's all over about, potentially interviewing for some jobs there as well. I think they slow down Jordan Love in that offense. And you see the Lions grit out a football game, which is, really their moniker there.
I'm going to stick with Detroit too. I think there is going to be a very next man up mentality, like Trell said. This just screams like a Dan Campbell type of victory for them. I think they're going to rely on the run a little bit more than normal. I think they'll grind the clock a little bit with Jair out. Obviously, St. Brown and Jamison Williams and Laporta. I think they're going to be able to pass the ball when they need to. And I think they'll play a lot of bend, don't break defense. I think they'll try to limit Jordan Love getting anything off, big, really limit the big time plays. I just in my gut, I just feel gutsy, kind of grind it out Detroit type victory tomorrow night. I think they're just playing too well that they're just completely fall over and roll over and fall apart to Green Bay tomorrow night.
Okay. Well, we will see tomorrow night, Monday Night Football. You got a division rival, and man, wow, was I wrong? I got to give Coach Jim Harbaugh more and more credit. Sunday Night Football, I apologize, not Monday night. Sunday Night Football between the Chargers and the Kansas City Chiefs is going to be a very interesting football game. And where I want to give Jim Harbaugh credit is this. I want to remind you what happened. I just want to remind you that the Chargers lost the game on Monday Night Football at home in Los Angeles. while the Atlanta Falcons were on a bye week, staying at home. The Chargers traveled across the country on a short week, a 1:00 game. Now, granted, did the Chargers give them every opportunity to win that football game? Absolutely. Kirk Cousins played terrible. And to get to your comment up here, if Michael Penix comes in, that would be a terrible contract for Kirk Cousins. But with that being said, Coach Harbaugh got that team on a plane on a short week to play their ass off at Atlanta. That defense is flying around the ball. This is a good football game from a Chiefs team who is not playing well versus a Chargers team who is absolutely playing the fundamentals. They lost to the Ravens on Monday Night Football, came back and beat Atlanta, but they're playing fundamental football. They're running the football. They're stopping the run. They're playing good defense. Who do you like in this one? Chargers versus Chiefs?
For me, I'm rolling with the Chiefs. I think the Chargers are the better, I don't want to say better football team. I think the Chargers are playing a better brand of football here. I think the Chiefs have really gotten a chance to escape. A lot of these games, it feels like, Mahomes has this magic in him that, missed field goals or just random penalties at the end of games that looked like false starts, but then they turn out to be fumbles. Like, it just feels like the Chiefs always are on the right side of things here. So I'm gonna roll with the Chiefs. I think Jim has had the guys playing hard there in LA. I feel like they haven't had like their signature win yet. Now maybe that is coming, but I think they're a team that takes care of their business. Like, they win the games that they're supposed to. They win the 50-50 games, and I think the Chargers are a good team here. But I think that the Chiefs are going to just be a little too much there for the Chargers to come out with the win.
Shall we?
I'm unfortunately going to agree with Cottrell. This will be another prime time home cooking. Sure, mysterious flag will fall out of a referee's pocket somewhere, and
So bad.
Mahomes will.
What was that call on Friday night, man? Can someone explain to me? Like, I watched football for years. That's a false start.
It's the thing is that what makes that play even worse and like the video even worse is that you have the official, like one of the line judges, coming in and he's already flailing his arms like in the motion. False start. It's false start.
Nope. We gotta figure out a way to screw this one up.
Like, it's so bad.
It's not great. That being said, Arrowhead, they're just really, 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 really tough to beat in that building, man. I would agree with both of you. I would argue that the Chargers are playing better football than Kansas City right now. Kansas City, I feel like, is on that proverbial kind of begging to get beat boat. But if they're going to keep getting bailed out by the refs, and then on top of that, not to make light of it or joke around about it, but you can't let Patrick Mahomes have the football in his hand at the end of the game. Like, you have to be controlling your own destiny. Like, if the Chargers want to win that game and it's low scoring, Herbert's got to have the ball at the end of the game. If you let Patrick Mahomes have the ball with a minute and a half to go, you know what's going to happen. It is just it's clockwork. It's clockwork. It's like the sun rising in the morning. You know what's going to happen. So unfortunately, I think it's going to be a very low scoring game. Over under for this game is only 42. I really do think it's 17-13. 2017, something like that, Kansas City. I think it's a real good game, though. I agree with Gene. I think the Chargers are so far ahead of schedule. How good they're going to be in another year or two when they actually get a bunch of skill players to kind of fill out that roster with what they've already built. It's going to be fun to watch Kansas City really have some legit competition in that division finally.
How right is this comment? I mean, this play. This is exactly what I'm talking about. If someone would have cracked him when he's going out of bounds, like,
do you know what's going to happen if you crack him though? Even and again, this gets back to I don't even care if it's legal. If you crack him and then God forbid he gets hurt or something like that, you will become the pariah of the NFL, and you're going to get fined. You're going to get suspended. And again, but that's the stuff they got to take out. If you're going to run towards the sideline and slow up and act like you're giving yourself up, then you better go out of bounds. Because then if not, it should be free range to smoke you.
Well, you know what? You know how you can get around that though. You can get fined, get suspended, whatever. You be a star player to do it. Let Derwin James come around the corner, and Patrick wants to play on the sideline. Derwin James takes him out there. Yeah, he gets fined, he gets suspended, whatever the case may be. But I mean, he's still going to be. He's still an All-Pro caliber player, and it's easy to, I guess, look at Aziz and just paint him as the bad guy there. And I'm not saying he's not the bad guy, but it's easy to do that when you're not like the star player there. But if you want to go out there and you set a tone, like Dan Campbell said about Caleb, he wants to play the game on the sidelines. You hit his ass. I've talked to the refs already, so you make them call that tough one on the sidelines there.
And I'll say this: I have the Chargers.
Patrick, though, man.
I have the Chargers.
You're right.
I think the Chargers win the football game. They always play the Chiefs hard, and I think Jim Harbaugh is the notion that gets them over the top. They played them earlier in the season, lost 17-10. I think they're playing better football, and the Chiefs are begging to get beat. This reminds me of last year when they played the Raiders, and the Raiders went into Arrowhead and smacked them around. I think the Chiefs are playing bad football. Do I think they'll turn it around? Sure, they always do. But I think this is a little slide you're going to see from the Chiefs. I think they lose this game. I think they lose at Pittsburgh. I think they lose the number 1 seed, if I'm being completely honest with you. They did it last year. But we'll see what happens. But I love the way the Chargers are playing football. And shout out to Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert, because they are absolutely making any doubter a believer.
And Lyle McConkey looking like
McConkey's been incredible.
Like a steal of a second-round pick.
Jesse Minter too. Jesse Minter will probably be a head coach next year.
Hopefully not. Hopefully he stays with Jim Harbaugh and they form a great relationship.
Yeah, I'm not even just hating on him, but I think if him becoming a coach next year would be a mistake. I think it'd be smart for him to just stick around another year, being in the NFL. I mean, his first year, NFL, being in DC. Like I say, and granted, Jim, I'm sure, has run his program when he was at Michigan. I'm sure he ran like a pro NFL team there as well. But I'd stick with Jim another year and then go through that cycle.
No.
Bo Nix has played great football, John. Bo Nix has played great football. And listen, I am not a Nick Wright fan. Never been a Nick Wright fan. He's a fanboy. He's a stat. That's what he's always been, stat boy. It's what he was. He makes an excellent point about the way he played in this past week. If you take away what is an 89-yard touchdown, but if you take away that one pass, which very easily could have been intercepted, that ball almost went through the defender's hand. Great throw. He is a very pedestrian to bad game. That one play super inflated those stats to make that game look a lot better than it did. I think Bo's good. I think he's going through a learning curve, and I think he's come out on the right side of it. I don't think he's the rookie of the year yet. I think he can take it from Jaden. I think right now it's Jaden Daniels to lose.
Jaden would have to collapse down the stretch.
I don't think it's
a
97-yard touchdown. Sorry.
Yeah.
But take away that one play. And that play, if you've seen that throw, it was thread and needle, and that very easily could have got tipped, blocked, intercepted. That ball fit through there like a baseball through the tiniest hole. So great throw. But
yeah, I mean, I think for me, Jaden is definitely the leader in the clubhouse there. And it sucks because their record sucks, but in reality, Brock Bowers should be in the discussion. Brock Bowers is having an absolutely incredible season so far, and
he started on the odds. The odds right now are Jaden Daniels minus 250, Bo Nix plus 175, Brock Bowers plus 1100.
But plus 1100 really tells you everything you need to know.
Right.
That's ridiculous. He's that far back.
But I mean, he's top 5 right now in all of the NFL in yards. Like, that's absolutely incredible for a rookie tight end. It's to me, I mean, obviously we've seen the QB carousel with the Raiders, and I think success is definitely playing a big part. It looks like the Broncos are going to make the playoffs. Looks like the Commanders are going to make the playoffs, or at least have a shot to. But yeah, if Brock Bowers is on a winning team, I think he'd be firmly in that discussion where you're talking about him having more yards than guys like, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, guys like that.
I bring that comment up about the 97-yard touchdown, not to say that if this didn't happen, this would have happened. I bring that comment up to say that he had a very pedestrian football game. So, like, if you watch the football game and actually watch each part of the football game, which I know you do, Jeremy, then you understand my point where I'm saying that if you just take that one play away, which easily could have went the other way, his stat line says how pedestrian of a football game he had. Sorry. Before we get into Pick'em, I want to get into Pick'em and then we'll get into trivia. Actually, let's get right into Pick'em and trivia, and then we'll pick up. Yeah, I'm falling behind the 8 ball right now, boys.
Happens to the best of us. But you're literally only a 3-0 week from being literally right back to where you're at. So,
all right, we'll start us off, Cottrell.
All right, so this week, my first game got some kind of ugly ones here. My first game, I got the Saints -3.5 at the Giants. I think the Giants are an absolute dumpster fire right now. Just question marks at the QB position, obviously. Saints aren't really much better, but I just think it's the lesser of two evils here. So I'll take the Saints -3.5 at the Giants. Second game I like the over 44.5 Bears at 49ers. I think with the Bears getting rid of Matt Eberflus, I think that offense will have a lot more energy. They may open it up a little bit more. And especially with, all the injuries that the 49ers that have been faced with. And I think on the flip side of it as well, if the Niners want to stay in this one, they're going to need to put points up on the board there. So I like the over 44.5 in that game. Then the last game the Cowboys surprised a lot of us in previous weeks. I don't think that happens again this week. I like the Bengals -5.5 going to Dallas and taking out that Cowboys team. The Bengals offense has been absolutely phenomenal so far throughout the season there. And I think Joe Burrow's been putting up 30 against everybody. There's not a snowball's chance in hell, even with how bad the Bengals defense has been, that I see the Cowboys putting up more than 23 points in that one. So I like the Bengals -5.5.
As much as I agree with you, and I love that your sentiment there, I can't pick the Bengals versus anybody. Their defense just is like Swiss cheese.
You're right.
Every time I turned that game on last week, I would see Joe Burrow doing something, they would score, and then I would come back to it 5 minutes later, and the other team would be on the 4. And I was just like, this is insanity. I'm going to start with that game, and I'm going to go the over-under, 48.5. I agree. I think Joe might put up 30 himself. That defense is so bad, though. Dallas is going to put up points on Cincinnati. I don't think there's any shot that game stays under the over-under. So give me over 48.5. Second game, give me Atlanta at Minnesota. I'm taking Minnesota -5.5. Atlanta hasn't looked good the last couple weeks. And when you're playing bad football, the last thing you want to do is go play a Brian Flores defense at home. They had a very sloppy game offensively, still pulled it out against a very good Arizona team last week. I like Minnesota at home, clean it up. Brian Flores might make Kirk Cousins throw 3 more interceptions next week. So I like Minnesota -5.5. And the game we already talked about, Chargers at Kansas City -3.5. I just think it'll happen somehow. It's just one of those, for me, it's one of those unavoidable things. Sorry.
Okay, I have 3 games on the docket this week. I'll start with Thursday Night Football. I told you where I'm at already. Go Pack, go. I got the Packers +3.5 on Thursday Night Football. I think the Lions are dealing with too many injuries. Give me the Packers +3.5. Look, I'll tell you right now, take a money line. I'm going to take the 3.5 points for the show because I'm under 500. But with that being said, I think the Packers win this football game outright. Second game on the docket, this can't be real. The Titans -3.5 over the Jaguars. Don't tune into this football game. I'll take the Titans. Mac Jones, that team's all but over for the year. They're tanking for a top pick. Give me Will Levis and the Titans -3.5 over the Jaguars. Ugly football game, but I'll take the Titans to cover. And then in the Kirk Cousins revenge game, Kirk Cousins legacy game, give me the Falcons +5.5 at Minnesota. If anybody knows how to win against that Brian Flores defense and win in that stadium, it's Kirk Cousins. Give me the Falcons +5.5. They might not win the game, but I think they'll cover. All right, I'm done. Jeremy, I'm just busting your chops. I love Jeremy. Appreciate you in the chat. Jeremy, John Suggs, all you guys asking questions. I wish I can get to every one of them. We have a full agenda, but thank you guys.
All right, you guys ready for some trivia? We need a trivia sound effect.
I agree with you. We need a sound effect. Hold on, I got to turn off my turn off the comments.
What were you about to say, Bill?
She used like the Jeopardy theme or something.
I feel like no, but you know why we can't do that, Bill? Do you know what I spent about 3.5 hours doing? Bill, Cottrell knows exactly where I'm going. What did I spend 3.5 hours doing, Cottrell?
Fighting copyright.
Fighting copyright over a friggin' song that we own the rights to. I had to fill out a form for every show we did so they don't take our page down.
What song?
The one from the intro that Alex made that he owns the rights to.
Wow.
It's wild.
That
Very
is
wild.
All right. The comments are turned off. If you guys want to guess in the chat, we'll check it afterwards. Gene versus Shally this week. Cottrell, we are ready.
I got you, Gene, too, by the way.
Do you go full screen? Because when I go full screen, I can't see the comments unless you put them up.
No, I can't because the way the settings are I don't go full screen.
You could, though, Bill, if you wanted to.
Oh, that's fine. I was just asking.
I don't go full screen just because of all the settings on the StreamYard.
That makes sense.
But
all right. So this week's question, Bill, don't throw a fit here because I know how you get.
Here we go.
This week's question, we are going to the hardwood.
Collusion.
We're going to the NBA here.
Okay.
However,
oh God, this is what I mean. He gets an NBA question and he goes, for 1980s, when Bill was born. Yeah, tell me about 70s basketball, Bill.
Oh,
no.
So if it's 70s, I won't get it either.
I'm kidding.
It's not going to be not old. This is actually active, but it has a twist to it. We're going to go top 10 active players. Which colleges have the most active players? Top 10 colleges with the most active players in the NBA.
Okay. That's a fun one. You could start. This should be pretty. I guarantee you 3 or 4 of them gotta be.
Yeah, I mean the first 5 or 6 should probably go pretty quick. I'll go Kentucky.
Kentucky is number 1 with 29 players.
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of different ones you can use on here. Give me Duke.
Duke, it's number 2, 24.
I will go with
the Duke
North Carolina.
North Carolina is not on the list. North Carolina sitting at number 17 with 7
active players. Okay. So that actually gives me a really nice hint. Can I go with what?
Before you go, because this isn't like a hint, I'm just letting you guys know. We do have 3 teams tied for the last spot here. So if we need a tiebreaker, we do have that extra team there.
Okay. Well, then I'm. But can I stay local? Because I know there's a hell of a lot of Villanova Wildcats in the NBA right now. I guarantee you they're on this list.
Villanova Wildcats just missed the list. They are at number 9. The 3 teams tied for the 10 spot have 10.
Wait, they're number 9?
No. They're right off the list. They're like the 11th. Well,
with 9, I got
with
it.
9, yeah. Right off the list.
That sucks.
I want to go with my boys here. I'm going to go with Michigan.
Michigan is one of those teams that are tied for number 10 with 10.
Okay, well, I'll respond and rebuttal right back with Kansas.
Kansas is number 7 on the list with 11.
Okay.
Give me...
Where are we at right now? We got 1, 2,
2.
2. Yep.
Give me Arizona.
Arizona is at number 4 with 12 active players.
I was hoping you said no. I probably wouldn't have got that. Give me the Zags. They have a ton.
Gonzaga is number 6 with 11.
Gonna go with UCLA.
UCLA is sitting at number 3 with 15 active players.
I would not have guessed them having that much.
I didn't think it was that high.
You got to think they still got the old ones like Russ and Kevin Love. And
who did you just guess?
You talking about what I just guessed a minute ago?
Gonzaga.
Yeah.
Gonzaga.
And then we're on the list, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So all right. So it's 4-3.
Now I'm kind of getting stuck. Now I'm getting stuck. There's no, I can't do that. There's no list for like non-college, right? It's like this is only college players, right? Like if I went like straight from the G League, straight from
No.
Okay, just
College,
making sure.
universities.
Okay. Sorry, I'm really drawing a blank here right now. I rattled off all the ones I was very sure of. Shock Nova wasn't on there.
Just missed it.
Give me. I'm sorry, I'm stalling.
You throw one out there, Gene. You throw one out there.
Absolute stall right now.
I'll give you 15 seconds here.
I appreciate that. I need it. Oh, God.
All right, 5 seconds.
The U.
Miami is not on the list. They're at number 46, if you're curious.
That's terrible. I panicked. I was shocked.
They have one guy and a towel in the league. I'm going to go with Texas.
Texas is another one of those teams that is tied for 10th with 10 players in the league.
Is that it? Like, where are we at now?
It's 5-3.
How many?
These
how many
other
are left? What are left?
There's 2 schools left technically 3, because I told you there's 2 tied for the there was 3 tied for that last spot at number 10.
What? Okay, so
I only have one more guess. So
you are missing right now. You're missing number 5. School that was tied for number 5. You're missing number 8, and then you are also missing number 9. Well, the other school that's tied for 10. Arkansas is number 5 with 11 active players.
How is Villanova not on this list? Are you sure you have a current list?
Arkansas has 11 active players.
Okay. I feel like Villanova should be on this list.
They are number 9. I don't know what you want from me. Well, not number 9. They're with 9 active. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Michigan State.
Michigan State is not on the list. They're at number 23 with 6.
Staying in the SEC. Give me Bama.
Alabama is also not on the list. They're at number 20 with 6.
So it's 5-4 right now?
Yes.
And there's 1 left.
2, but yes.
Right. So there's 2 left for a tiebreaker.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's 1, 2, 3. I will go. Oh,
15 seconds, sir.
I'll go UConn.
UConn is just outside, and they are tied with Villanova at number 9.
I'll go with Bronny James's college. Give me USC.
USC is number 8. They are also tied there for number 11. So now it comes down to the last school here.
So 1 last school on this list.
1 last school.
And how many? What number is that? Like tied for 10?
They are the one that's tied for.
Okay.
10.
Got it. How
tied
many,
for 10 with 10
players?
Yep.
Got it. I have 2 guesses, and if they're not right, I guarantee I won't get it. 2. I have 2 absolute guesses. I think they're good guesses too. I feel like Shally said one of my guesses, actually. I wish I could write down the ones that we said that were incorrect, because I think I'm going to guess one that we already said. Because there's no way this wasn't said already.
I'll go with. Ooh.
10 seconds, Bill.
I see exactly what you're doing. You're using the live minutes, aren't you?
I am.
I love that because I was looking at the live minutes.
I'll go Florida State.
Florida State is not on this list. They are number 21 with 6.
Can I ask if Bill said a team? Can I ask if this team was said?
I mean, I don't.
It's up to you, brother. You're the trivia master right now. Can I ask if the team was said already?
Sure.
It will be my guess if they weren't said.
Okay.
Okay. Arizona. They were said, right? Bill said Arizona, right?
Arizona was on the list, yes.
Okay. So Arizona's on. That's one of the correct answers.
Correct.
Okay. That's I don't know why in my head I'm just like, no one said Arizona. Okay. Powerhouse teams. Can I get a coast?
No.
Oh, God damn it. I'm trying. All right. So I feel like if Cottrell made a list, there's a reason he made a list. And I feel like if there's going to be a tiebreaker team, it probably would be the Ohio State University.
I like your thinking there, but the line is wrong.
God
Ohio
damn
State's coming in at number 18, tied with North Carolina for 7 players in the league.
Okay.
Do we get hints? Can we get hints now since we're back to the beginning?
Well, because it's sudden death, that's not really fair.
Yeah, I
don't get a chance to rebuttal.
I do agree with that.
I'll go with.
You better just start throwing out some schools. You guys are missing some big schools. So I mean, there's plenty guesses out there.
I'll go with Purdue.
Purdue is not here. Oh, did I miss him? Where's Purdue? Purdue only has 2 active players in the league right now.
Zach Edey and someone else. Zach Edey and Jaden Ivey. That has to be the only 2. They're both active players in the NBA. That's 2.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm just gonna rattle off ACC schools at this point. Is Virginia one of the ones?
Virginia is very close. Virginia is tied with Nova and UConn with 9.
I hate this.
That is a great guess.
Oh my God. The other school I'm going to rattle off is never mind. I shouldn't do that. It probably is the answer. I might be close.
I mean, you're definitely close. You're 1 player away from being there. So
I hate you. I hate you so much.
You are close.
I'm trying so hard. Don't take this from me, Shally.
I'm going to give you 10 seconds.
I'll go Houston.
Houston is not on the list. They're at number 26 with 5 active players.
I'm between. All right, forget it. I'm going to start going quick so we can go quick. Give me Florida.
Florida is not the answer. They are at 25 with Houston with 5 active players.
They're not close. Get it. Thank you. Rub it in my face a little bit more.
I mean, they're right there with the team that Bill said, so.
It's fair. Just rub it in my face a little bit more, Cottrell. I have two major schools. I'm guessing
Washington.
one of the major schools.
I'll go Washington.
Washington is not there. They are at number 32 with 4 active players.
Give me LSU.
LSU is not the answer. They are. I must have missed them because I know they're probably not that low. Let's see here. No, LSU is number 22 with 6 active players.
Okay.
Oh my God.
I got one more guess. Nah, I keep saying that. I'm going to keep guessing big universities, but I feel like I have one more guess. I have one rattled in the chamber. It's ready to go.
I think we go one more round here, and then I think I'll give the hint, and then we'll just go first one of you guys to get it.
Okay.
And if you guess wrong, you can't just keep spitting them out there. If you throw one out there, next person gets to guess.
That's fair.
Did I say Indiana already?
I don't remember.
I'll go Indiana.
Indiana is not on the list. They're sitting at 7 schools. I don't think you did, though, if I'm being 100% honest.
Give me the Baylor Bears.
Baylor is the last school on this list. They are tied for number 10 with 10 active players.
The Baylor Bears take it home. That was a tough freaking question. Yo. All right, let's see what we got. Everybody was in the chat. Thank you very much. Let's see what we got. Kentucky, Duke. We got those right away. Kansas. Baylor was like the third school mentioned. Arkansas. UCLA. Great one. Texas. Florida. You guys are better than we are. Florida's not on the list, though. Gonzaga. Purdue. Indiana. Villanova. Yeah, I thought so, too. Florida State, probably not. Syracuse, a good one. I didn't think about them. Baylor, good job. Baylor Bears, get it done. Let's update this trivia.
The hint was going to be they play in the Big 12.
I was locked and loaded with Baylor, so 14-11-4. All right. Well, we got college football. We got college football to get into. We got to get into college football championship week. I don't look, man. If we got to go over, we got to go over. We got to break down some of these games. I know you're going to get a full taste of this with Coast to Coast Saturday morning. They're killing it. But there's 4 absolute games we have to cover, right? Is that fair?
Yeah.
All right. Start us off. Lead us off, Cottrell.
So before we get into that, do we want to go into the rankings first here, or?
Oh yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So, got the rankings.
Oh, by the way, kneecap biting. Want to throw that one out there?
Yeah, I get it.
He's a Lions fan. You can't blame him.
I'm not mad. You know.
Can I ask you a question though? I think the whole world wants to know.
Okay.
Are you ready to fire Ryan Day?
Yes. Right. As it stands right now, the answer is yes.
Okay.
The only way he gets absolved of this mess is by winning a national championship. Yeah. It's the only way. You can. I told Bill and Alex this earlier today. You can lose to Michigan as many times as you want to. If that season you win the national championship when you lose to him, that's the only time it's
Ryan Day is very good when he has weeks to prepare, and he's going to get that for his first playoff game.
True.
But man,
I mean, just looking at these rankings here, I mean, I feel like I could go into my spiel every single week about how
I don't. You don't have anything wrong with the top 8.
Top 8, no.
Oh, I do.
What do you have wrong with the top 8?
Ohio State should have fallen more. Sorry.
So where should they be at?
They should be around, probably be 8 or 9, somewhere around there.
Okay, so you think Tennessee's better than them?
Not again. It's one thing that affects the other. I'm not.
But don't they both 2-loss teams?
They're both 2-loss teams, and Ohio State's lost.
I don't think Tennessee should be at 7. I've said that before.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
A perfect world,
if some teams lose and fall off the map, and
like
Ohio State,
Miami.
Yeah, and Ohio State has a terrible loss at home to a 6-5 freaking Michigan team, and they fall 3 spots.
That would be the most Bears thing ever, by the way.
What?
He said he's calling Ryan Day to the Bears. That would be the most Bears thing ever.
The only argument that you can make is that SMU should be ahead of them. So, like at worst, they'd be at 7.
And that is high up on my list.
I mean, that's fine, but you look at Tennessee. Tennessee's
like let's put it this way: the fact that Ohio State now has 2 losses, they're not going to play in a championship. And this isn't me picking Ohio State. I'm going after the inconsistency of this whole thing. SMU has one loss, is playing in a conference championship game, and now you're telling me that if they go lose to Clemson, which would still be a better loss than Ohio State's to Michigan, there's a chance SMU doesn't make the playoff.
Yeah, but Ohio State has the better win.
They have the worst loss too.
But what's SMU's other BYU earlier this year? So BYU and Clemson. I mean, if you're looking at Oregon, an Oregon lost 1 point on the road and a 3-point loss at home to Michigan. I get it. It's a bad loss. Don't get me wrong. It's not worse than Arkansas that Tennessee had, and they beat Indiana. So
I'm not arguing Tennessee. Me and you agree on Tennessee.
My biggest gripe with this list is Miami being below Alabama.
That's it. That's the one.
That's the big one.
And the thing that drives me nuts about that is both teams that Miami lost to, now granted, they have some ugly wins, but both teams that Miami lost to have shown you what Georgia Tech just do this week.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech just played Georgia in one of the, can we just admit Georgia Tech's a pretty good football team this year?
They're a very good football team.
So
I picked them last week for Superdog. Yeah.
And I think either 2 of their 4 or 3 or 4 losses were without their starting quarterback. That kid's a hammer.
Yeah, unreal.
They lost to Notre Dame. He did not play. He didn't play it down in that game. And they just lost the second longest college football game ever to Georgia away.
That they should have won.
Honestly, they should have won. So and they're not even on here, are they? They're not ranked. That's a joke. But, and again, you brought up BYU. Okay, BYU's got 2 losses, and they're sitting 1 spot ahead of Missouri, who shouldn't even be on this goddamn graphic. And why is Missouri on this graphic?
Because of what Ward Manuel said yesterday. He said they looked at Alabama and Miami head-to-head, and Alabama is 3-1 versus teams that are currently in the top 25, and Miami doesn't have 1 win against anybody in that top 25. And they got teams like Missouri just hanging out, chilling here that have absolutely no business being here. Missouri had 3 ranked games all season, got the doors blown off of them in all of them. They had I shouldn't say all of them, 2 out of the 3. They had a close game against South Carolina, but guess what? They lost. Yep. Missouri has no business being on this list.
And I'll tell you this. I'll go. You put Georgia Tech and Missouri on a neutral field. Georgia Tech wins. They absolutely beat UNLV. They beat Illinois. They probably beat Syracuse. Colorado would be a good football game. They beat Army and they beat Memphis. But
I think that Miami should be ahead of Alabama. That's my biggest gripe with the list.
I agree. It is now telling you we're into this bullshit argument again where losses don't matter.
No. It's not that losses don't matter. It's about when you lose, apparently, because Alabama losing earlier in the year against Vandy. And I mean, if Miami would have just lost,
they just lost.
I know, but
Oklahoma team.
Hey, I'm with you guys. I'm just saying, I'm looking at it from the committee standpoint. They just lost last week to Oklahoma, but the week before that, they threw up 50 points against Mercer, and Miami had to play Syracuse. Miami had to play Syracuse. If they'd have played them week 2, maybe Miami's still ahead of them. It's the dumbest thing ever, and the committee is awful.
They lost to number 2 Syracuse with Kyle McCord, who threw the ball all over the yard, 42-38 in Syracuse. They lost to Georgia Tech, who just played Georgia in one of the best games you'll ever watch. A really good football team. That's their only 2 losses this year. Alabama lost to 5-5 Oklahoma by 21 points.
Yeah, annihilated. They weren't in the game.
They lost to Vanderbilt, who is, guess what, not on this list. As fun as they've been all season to watch and see them put people on upset alert, Tennessee just blew the doors off of them.
They're telling you again, there's one team on this freaking list that has 3 losses, and it's Alabama. And 2 of them are terrible. They're telling you that losses don't matter, and that's a joke. You can't lose to a 6-6 Vanderbilt team and a 6-6 Oklahoma team and then sit there and look me in the eye and tell me they deserve to be in this playoff.
They don't.
They don't.
100%.
You know the crazy part is, you know what they're going to end up getting? They're going to end up getting something like Notre Dame, which is a travesty for Notre Dame.
Well, they won't get Notre Dame.
Why wouldn't they'd be the 12, right? It'd be 5-12.
No, they'd be the 11. The what's the name champ? The Big 12 champ.
Ohio. Oh yeah, Notre Dame would still be 5.
Big 12 champ.
Penn State loses to Oregon, Penn State would drop to 6.
Well,
Might drop to 7 because they lost to Ohio State.
Yeah,
we're gonna see how they value it, because are you going to value what gets valued, making your conference championship game more or head to head? So
I can't wait to see that debacle.
Whatever the outcome is, they both better be ahead of Tennessee. That's all I'm telling you.
Because my thing is that's the point right there, Bill. If in my opinion, I don't think, and this is going to go both ways. If Oregon beats Penn State, you have Penn State is ahead of Ohio State, I'm okay with that. However, if Texas beats Georgia, Georgia better also be behind Tennessee if that's the case there, because again, you got the 2 head-to-head matchups there, because Ohio State and Penn State played, Georgia and Tennessee played. So if Georgia loses that game there, if you're going to throw Ohio State, make sure they're behind Penn State. Do the same thing, be consistent, make sure Georgia is behind Tennessee. I'm saying if you put Ohio State behind Penn State.
No, but Georgia
I just can't believe we have a potential to have 2 3-loss SEC teams in this playoff, and one of them did not make the conference championship game.
I was going to say I'm okay with it if it's Georgia, because
they at least got there. That's fine.
Right.
But again, but then that's what I'm saying. You're then comparing, if you're giving me 3-loss teams, how are you telling me you're taking 2 of them from the same conference and one of them did not make the conference championship game, and they're going to get in over Miami, who both of their losses are better than 2 of 3 of Alabama's losses. And then on top of that, Alabama has another loss. I just don't understand. We could look at 9-3 and be like, oh, well, they have a couple nice wins. Cool. They have 2 absolutely horrendous shit pile losses too. How do they not matter?
I have another argument for you guys. Resume for resume. I know they played each other, but they played in Tuscaloosa, and South Carolina lost by 2 points. Resume for resume. You're going to look me in the face and tell me Alabama's got a better resume than South Carolina?
Bro, there's no way. This South Carolina team isn't the same team that played them.
And they lost by 2
month and a half ago
in Tuscaloosa.
A month and a half ago. If you put those teams on the neutral field at this point in the year, I said it last week, I'll say it again this week. I think South Carolina should have been ahead of Alabama. I would have had Miami at 11. I would have had South Carolina at 12, and I would have had Bama at 13.
And wasn't that one of the games, one of the miracle catches from Ryan Williams?
I don't really know. South Carolina failed a 2-point conversion.
Okay, so you were so now Alabama potentially is 4. Whatever, man. This is. And I'll tell you right now, I'm not even surprised because Ward Manuel is a freaking idiot. So none of this surprises me. None of this surprises me whatsoever. I love everything about Michigan. I hate that guy.
What are the teams that are below 12 that are eliminated now?
All of them.
Everybody.
So nobody has a chance to win a conference championship this week and get in?
The top 11 have a chance to get in. Clemson and Arizona State, Iowa State, Clemson. Everybody else, done. Kaput. UNLV too. I'm sorry, UNLV also. Everybody else kaput.
He literally, and that's what I think is even more hysterical. Everybody's making this big thing about
get in a week after they just lost to South Carolina.
Yes, if they win the ACC, they got to beat SMU and they get in automatically.
It's not a conference game, that's why. And then again, SMU at that point would still only have 2 losses, and it would be a ranked BYU team and a ranked Clemson team in the ACC championship. And I'm telling you, there's no way you're telling me if you watch that football team play this year that they are not a top 12 team in this country. No shot. And if you do want to tell me that, then you're an idiot and you don't know what you're watching. And I promise you, they will push SMU out of this playoff. And that would be a goddamn travesty.
Yep.
That would be a travesty.
If SMU loses that football game and that is their second loss and it's to Clemson, Clemson automatically gets in. I 100% think SMU, if you're going to look at it on paper and you're going to say how SMU resume versus Alabama's resume, they're going to say, well, Alabama, same argument that we made against Miami. Alabama's got 3-4 wins against teams in this top 25 here. And we look at SMU and their strength of schedule was at 75 or 78. So we already know what's going to happen. SMU needs to win that football game, which is, I think that they will before. I know we're going to get into it. I think they will, but it is a must win for them to get in.
See, I don't want to get. I don't even want to get back to this again. But then, like, if we are, like, if wins are that important, then how is Indiana in?
If we're good,
if we're not going by losses, because I hate to say it, their biggest strength on their resume is their only loss is Ohio State, and that took a little bit of a blip this weekend. So if we're going by the committee's BS logic, and the only thing that matters is wins, how are they on here? Who was their best win?
Nebraska,
Michigan. That doesn't cut it for me.
Yeah.
Like don't tell me Indiana deserves to be in over SMU then. Like that's a joke. If we're saying losses don't matter, if you could put a 3-loss team over a bunch of 2-loss teams, that you should be able to put a 2-loss team in over a 2-loss team that has 2 ranked losses, one being in a conference championship game, then SMU should get in over Indiana.
I'm just going to be really curious to see how these games end up, to see what changes in the rankings there, because they came out and said that, SMU's coach came out and said that, if this is a situation where SMU basically said if they lose, these smaller programs that can't compete like with the SEC in terms of like the SEC bias or even sometimes that Big Ten bias, he's like, what's to stop me moving forward? If I make my conference championship game, what's to stop me from moving forward to say, hey, we got a COVID outbreak, kids aren't playing this week. And, that's just that. He's like, if I do that and we forfeit a game or, whatever, we're in the college football playoff. Like as it stands right now, we're in. That shouldn't change by us losing a game that, we could have not even made, if let's say Clemson, or they had lost like another conference game or, it was a 3-way tiebreaker and they didn't make it. Like he's basically saying we should never be penalized for making and playing an extra game. And I think it's different too. Like if SMU was sitting at number 11 and you had Bama that was right there behind them, I think the arguments could be made then. But we're looking at a team that's a 1-loss team all season, and 8-11 doesn't feel like that big of a gap. But a 1-loss team and a 3-loss team, and just the eye test, how these teams play on the field, it's so much different in terms of how they've looked on that field. So,
I think Clemson beating SMU could potentially push out Bama out. I think they would keep SMU and they would move out Bama.
Potential, yeah, but
potentially, if you have any faith in that, I'm saying, like, even look at it like how it is now. You're telling me a team that went undefeated in the ACC, they don't have a loss in the ACC. Their loss is on the road to a BYU team. That is their loss.
Week 3.
Week 3. That is their loss right now. Yes, that is their loss. So you're telling me they go undefeated in their conference, get to the conference championship game, and then lose to another ranked team, which Clemson is. I don't think Clemson's good, but they're a top 25 team. I don't think they're 17th, but they're a top 25 team. You're telling me that team's not getting in?
Yeah,
because that's what's going to happen.
I'm telling you, they're going to look at the same exact logic as SMU is. They might as well have a U on their helmet because it's going to be the same logic.
Where does Oregon fall to when they lose to Penn State?
5. There's no that's how low they have to go because.
Well, I was going to say in reality, probably like 3, but
it'll be seeded 5. They'll be seeded 5.
So could Oregon potentially lose the Big Ten championship and get Alabama in a game 1?
No,
no. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
If I'm being honest,
that 12 seed is most likely going to be whoever wins the Big 12 game.
If I'm being honest, again, this is not me throwing on my tinfoil hat here, but
it's true.
If Oregon loses that game, that might work out better in their favor, just in general, because then you face Arizona State and then you get Boise again on a neutral field.
There's already talks about reseeding it after the first round because, like, if you finish in theoretically, if you're finishing in the 5 seed every year, you're getting the worst team at home, and then your second game is against, in theory, the worst
conference champion. Yep,
the worst conference champion. Whereas the 1 seed would most likely play a tougher team every single year. So
the 1 seed could potentially be playing the 3rd best team in the country.
I can't like see a world in which Notre Dame wins out, like won out, like they played as well as they played. They have one loss. It was a blip early in the season, and they're going to get Alabama game 1.
Yeah, that was
if I'm Notre Dame, I'll take Alabama. Alabama is three possessions away from having like 6 losses. Like this isn't the Alabama team from last year.
I get it, but Jalen Milroe and Ryan Williams, you've seen what they can do in certain scenarios.
Okay, that's fine. And have you seen their defense?
Yeah.
Notre Dame I wouldn't be
300 yards in that game.
I wouldn't be scared, but also
Indiana than Alabama.
I'd rather play Arizona State. I'm with you, Gene.
I get it. I mean, it's still Alabama. I get it, but at the same time, man, it's not. That's not a Nick Saban 2009 team rolling into South Bend. It's just not what it is.
All right. Well, let's get into this week's games, and then we'll get into pick 'em.
All right. So, let's start with one of the games that kind of already alluded to there. Let's go Big 12 championship game. Got number 16 Iowa State playing number 15 Arizona State in Jerry World.
I have Arizona State in this football game. They went out and just put a hurting on Arizona last week. They look really good right now. I granted, I know Arizona's no world beaters, but Arizona State looks really good. They can throw the ball. They can run the ball. They can play good defense. Give me Arizona State.
I'm going to go Arizona State here too. I think they're playing better football than Iowa State. Iowa State did kind of turn the ship around pretty quick after losing to Texas Tech a couple weeks ago. They've looked better again. My biggest issue is always with Iowa State. The game has to kind of unfold their way, and if it gets away from them, they're not designed to score 35 points a game. They're just not. They play great defense though. It is a very, very typical Matt Campbell overachieving, going to play very good fundamentals, very good defenses. Defenses are always very good. I think this is a little bit of a lower scoring game than people expect. But I do like Arizona State. I think they got hot at the right time. They had a couple big wins coming down the stretch. One of them being BYU. I will take Arizona State in a very close game.
Yeah, I like Arizona State as well here, but the thing that kind of gives me a little cause to pause per se is Jordan Tyson got ruled out. That's their number 1 receiver, and he's not going to play this week. He's had an injury late in the game last week against Arizona. With that set though, Cam Scatterbo has been playing out of his mind. He's been running the ball up and down the field, and I think when you can have a run game like that, Kenny Dillingham is going to be able to control the pace in that one. And I think that's going to be enough to win the football game. So I like Arizona State to punch their ticket to the college football playoff in a season that, beginning of the year, as many teams are in the Big 12. If you tell me that Arizona State was going to have a chance to make it to the college football playoff, I would have looked at you like you had 3 eyeballs. So give all the credit in the world to Dillingham there, but I'm rolling with Arizona State to make it.
Cam Scatterby, one of the great college names of all time.
All right, so next, let's go to the ACC. Another game, a couple teams we already talked about as well. Got Clemson, number 17 Clemson, and number 8 SMU. This is a game that's basically going to be played in Clemson's backyard, stadium they just played in last week. They're going back to Charlotte, playing Bank of America Stadium. I'll go first here. I went last on the first one, so I'll take SMU, and I like SMU to roll in this one. I think Clemson has been frauds all year long, and I think when they play good teams, you kind of see what they become. Granted, they stuck in the game last week against South Carolina, but I ultimately think this SMU team is just playing on a different level right now. I'm rolling with SMU, and I like them to win by double digits.
I agree with everything you said, except last week was actually played in Clemson, not North Carolina. But I'm going with SMU as well. They've been hot all year.
Carolina Panther Stadium.
No, they played in Clemson. Why would 2 South Carolina teams play in North Carolina?
That's what they do for the rivalry game.
Look it up. They played at Clemson last week. That being said, I'm going SMU. They've been great all year. They've been consistent. They run the ball. They love play action. Their defense is better than they get credit for. Clemson was another example of just their offense just absolutely sputters and just goes away for long periods of time. SMU is not going to let them breathe that much and stay in that game. So it's going to be a big moment for those kids. So I hope they settle into the game early. That's the only thing that concerns me is the lights being really bright and them kind of, coming out nervous or coming out tight and taking a quarter and a half to get into the game. That worries me a little bit, but I think they're going to be all right. Like I really like SMU. And then I think they win the ACC.
I like SMU in this football game. I think they win the game. I think they're a better football team. I don't think there's really much more to add to that.
All right, well, let's go to the SEC. You got Texas taking on Georgia. Rematch of a game that happened in the regular season. Gene, how you see that one going?
I watched this game play already. I think Georgia matches up better with them than look. As much as I've been on Texas this year, and I think I had Texas versus Oregon in my finals, but I think Georgia wins this football game. I've watched this game play already, and I think that Georgia ends up winning the game. I think they just match up better with Texas, so I'll go Georgia here.
This one's tough because I don't know if I knew ahead of time what version of Georgia I'm getting. It would make my pick a little easier. To some degree, I still don't think we really know what Texas is. They played okay last week against A&M, and their next best win is Michigan. If I get the good Georgia, then I agree with Gene. I think Georgia can easily handle Texas. If I get the turnover happy, Carson Beck and the team that can't throw the ball for a quarter and a half at a time, then I kind of like Texas because they're going to be more consistent. That being said, I think the way everything's gone the last couple of weeks, this is going to be pretty much a de facto home game for Georgia. It's in Atlanta. It's Mercedes-Benz Dome. I'm going to go with the Bulldogs on this one. I think the Bulldogs pull the upset.
I'm rolling with Texas here. I was going to go with Georgia, but I'm rolling with Texas. Look, I know I saw the way the first game played out there, and I don't see a world where if Carson Beck gives that Texas team 3 turnovers again, they don't capitalize on that opportunity. I think it's also eye-opening opportunity there for them to realize they have film now. They know what it's like. And I think it's one thing when like you play Michigan before that, like you play Michigan and you think they're this great team, you dominate them, and you're like, hey, we can hang with the best in the country. Then the season goes on and it's like, all right, well, that Michigan, that win didn't look as convincing as we thought it did. Earlier in the year, and you face Georgia, and it's like, all right, this team is on even another level from where they were there. Like then, I think with them playing A&M last week and then also getting punched in the mouth by that Georgia team, they know what to expect this game. And I think that will definitely play a factor in them looking a lot better offensively. So with the way Carson Beck's been turning the ball over, I don't think they're going to be able to escape that game with Carson Beck turning the ball over more than one time, like he's basically done now for the last month and a half in every game. So I'm rolling with Texas here to get a little bit of revenge from the earlier season matchup.
Last
one, like you're about to say something. Yeah, we're on the last one. You got number 1 Oregon taking on number 3 Penn State. I know we've been going in reverse order here, Gene. You've made no bones about it. Go ahead and just let us know how Penn State's going to win the football game.
So it's funny because I look at the things Penn State does well, and I think it matches up really well with Oregon. Doesn't match up well with everyone, but it matches up well with Oregon. Oregon has struggled with multiple teams in stopping the run. Penn State is going to run the football. Oregon struggled versus Ohio State stopping the run. They struggle versus Wisconsin stopping the run. They struggle versus Boise State stopping the run. I think they're going to struggle with Penn State stopping the run. I think Penn State will be able to run the football. Let's add a different dynamic. Another thing Oregon's defense struggles against is the tight end. And Penn State's got one of the best ones in the country. I think Penn State is going to be able to move the football, and I think the Penn State defense is just better equipped to be able to slow down the pass rushers of Oregon. Oregon has an absolute pass rush, and if they put you in a position to where you have to throw the football, we're in trouble, right? Penn State's in trouble in that football game. If the game stays close or Penn State gets an early lead, I think Penn State leans on them. I think it's almost like a Daniel Cormier wrestle him down fight. Just lay on top of them. We got one more round to go. I think Penn State wins this football game because it's a game in which the styles make the fight. Remind you, Oregon fans, I picked Oregon to win the national championship. I'm not changing that selection. But Penn State wins this football game 27-23. And Penn State has the ball to end the game.
So I think that is the most accurate, spot-on college preview that Gene's probably ever done.
I don't know if that's a shot or not.
No. I'm being completely sincere. I think you look at the teams that struggle or stayed with them. They are teams that can play defense and they can run the ball really well. The one thing that is different about Penn State versus Boise, Michigan, and Wisconsin is they have a guy that can throw the football. They are balanced if they want to be. Gene mentioned Tyler Warren, and they're not a one-dimensional team. Michigan's a one-dimensional team. Wisconsin, they were almost as bad as Michigan. They were on their third or fourth quarterback by the end of the season too, and they almost beat them. Boise State, as much as we love Gentry, they are a pretty one-dimensional team. They go as he goes, and they can do that because they're so good at it, and he's so good. Drew Aller can drop 320 yards on you in the blink of an eye if you let him. I think Penn State is balanced, and on top of that, I think Penn State has a defense that is going to get after Dylan Gabriel. I think they have a good enough front four and front seven to blitz if they have to kind of get him off his spot and let the secondary play on their islands. That defense has gotten better and better as the year progresses. I think Oregon's right for the upset here. I really do. I think Penn State's going to give them hell. If I have to pick a winner, I'll pick Penn State. I'm gonna put in a pickup too. So I'm obviously taking Penn State in the points. So there's obviously a place where Oregon can win. I could still win the bet, but I do truly believe. I think it's a really close football game. I think Penn State has what it takes to win. My only concern in this whole entire thing is if it comes down to one goddamn decision. I trust the guy on the Oregon sideline. There's not a number more times that I trust Dan Lanning than I do James Franklin, and that is the only thing that concerns me.
I will say this: Dan Lanning has made some bonehead decisions in some big moments. Now it's not James Franklin bonehead, but it's happened.
Washington games last year definitely has gotten tight. Yeah, that's games. That's what I said. But with that said, for me, I'm going to be on the opposite side of you guys. I'm rolling with Oregon here, and it pains me to say this. I've been going at Alex all season here about how tough the Big Ten is, and I mean he's kind of gotten a chance to see that there with some of the games that they've had. But to me, I think this game's going to come down to the explosive play, and I think Oregon has the ability to get more of those chunk plays off. In the sense of, I do think this is kind of going to be one of those, grinded out kind of games there, but I also think Oregon's not going to get away from the brand of football that they like to play either. And I think, with Oregon's ability to kill you with the deep ball, I mean, they got three receivers that can take the top off your defense. And so Abdul Carter's definitely going to make it, uncomfortable for Dylan Gabriel back there, but I also think you can game plan for that. You can chip them. You can put tight ends on the side. You can double team them. You know what's coming, and you know who can't wreck your game. And, I know it's a lot easier said than done, but Oregon's done a great job of game planning for their opponents so far throughout the year. So I think this will be a tight football game, but I think when you need it most, Dylan Gabriel is going to go drop back, let off a bomb, and you're going to have Penn State's offense, struggling to score last possession of the game just because it's, pretty tight, low clock, and, they don't have time to run the ball up and down the field. I love Aller too, by the way. I think he has the ability to lead a game-winning drive like that. that's just not the kind of offense that they run where they're going to kill you with chunk plays.
You know, it's funny. You say that, and I don't mean to like disagree with you. Obviously, know a lot more about college football than I do, but I wanted to look it up just to see like where they're at as far as their defense is allowing explosive plays. Penn State's defense has allowed 6 explosive plays all season. 4 of them were to Ohio State. Those are 30-plus yard plays or more, is what that's. I honestly believe Penn State's one of the top teams in the country at not allowing explosive plays. So I think you have to make Oregon go down the field, and I don't think they will. I'll never forget watching that Oregon-Ohio State game. I texted the group immediately afterwards. I said, man, I'm watching this football game. Ohio State's the better football team. Oregon's way better scheme. They're scheming first downs. They're like Ohio State's in the backfield every play, but it's a misdirection. It's this, it's that. I think Penn State's defense is more equipped for that than Ohio State's was, where I feel like that Ohio State causes a different threat because they can hit you on all 3 levels. Not in a way that I think Oregon can.
But to your point, though, with Penn State allowing only 6, 4 of them coming to Ohio State, to me, that's pretty telling. It's like, hey, the offenses that have the guys to – granted, I'm not saying Oregon has Jeremiah Smith per se or even Ibuka, but they have guys that can – Trayshawn Holden is, one of those guys. They have Johnson as well as one of those guys that can take top off the defense. Evan Stewart's another one, take the top off. So – I mean, if you have 4 plays given up like that, chunk plays against Ohio State, I mean, I think you'd also be susceptible to giving up 4 or 5 chunk plays against Oregon as well there. And I think that can be the turning point in a game like this.
All righty. I guess we'll find out. I love Penn State in this football game. In that same respect, I think that Penn State also loses to like Boise State as soon as they play someone. Like that's what they do. And then it breaks my heart, but I think they win this football game.
Fair enough.
It would be the most James Franklin thing ever.
Right. They'd be at number 2 seed going into the college football playoff, losing to Miami or whoever. SMU. But you get my point.
Yeah. Be wild, though, if you beat Oregon and, Georgia beats Texas and you're looking at Penn State as the 1 seed and you get the bye and then the first game, like 8 or 9, like how we were talking about earlier, like that could be a really good team on the other side. Like that could be Georgia. That could be, a Tennessee team. On a neutral field. So could be Indiana too.
I'll take that. I'll take Indiana. Let's get into college football pick 'em. I'm almost catching. I can't catch out on it. Well, I guess we'll find more super dog, but
there's not gonna be any more super dog.
No, it'll be like bowl games and stuff. We probably
we'll do bowl. We'll do separate for bowl
stuff. Yeah, we always stop after championship week.
Darn it. All right, we'll see who finishes number 1 standings after it's all said and done. Same order, right? We go with that?
Of course.
All right. So I'll start with I'll go from appetizer to main course. I'm starting with let me get my picks up and not my throat.
I'm like, you leaving me on the edge of my seat here, Gene.
I'm gonna start with Boise State -4 over UNLV. I think that Ashton Genty will be able to run. I think that Boise State wins the football game. There's limited games to pick from. If I think a team's going to win the football team, I think they'll win by 4 or more. Give me Boise State over UNLV. For the co-main event of the evening, give me Georgia +2.5, basically at home versus Texas. We watched these 2 teams play earlier in the year, and it wasn't that close. I like Georgia to control lines or to be able to not get controlled on the line of scrimmage is what Texas has done to almost every other team. I think Georgia can match up with them up front. And I think if you're going player for player, skill position for skill position, I think Georgia matches up with them playing at home. Give me Georgia +2.5. And for the nightcap, 9 o'clock, give me Penn State +3.5 over Oregon. I love them this week. And if they lose, it'll be a blunder in which Oregon will kick a game-winning field goal and I'll still cover. So I'll take Penn State +3.5.
I'm going to start with Penn State, Oregon as well. I mean, I pretty much gave this pick away. Again, I think there's a world where Oregon wins the game and I still win the bet. I'll go Penn State +3.5 as well. Second game, SMU -2.5 against Clemson. I honestly think SMU could win this game by double digits if they play well. I don't I don't have a lot of faith in Clemson's offense. It just disappears for huge stretches of games. I'll take SMU -2.5. And last but not least, same thing as Gene, Boise State -3.5 against UNLV. I think with the game being in Boise at home, cold, it's really going to favor the running game. I know UNLV's got a really good defense, but Boise at home, blue turf in front of everybody. I think Gentry has one last kind of going away, crazy ass game at home in front of the fans and gets his send off. So I like Boise State.
All right, so I'm going to start off with a game that Bill had already talked about. I'm rolling with SMU -2.5 over Clemson as well. I think that SMU team, they really have it rolling. And like I told you guys when we talked about the preview, I think the Clemson team's a team full of frauds there. So I think SMU wins. I think they win big. I think that's the one that I'm really not sweating this weekend. Second game I have SMU, well, not SMU. I have Boise State -3.5 versus UNLV. We saw this game get played earlier this season, and Boise State has already won it by 5, and that was on the road at UNLV. I think you're going to, like Bill said, with the conditions, with it being this late in the year, I think they're going to really rely on Genty, and this is going to be his last really Heisman push per se. So I think that's going to be a big time factor in how this game turns out. And I do like Boise to cover the 3.5 there. And then the last one I got Arizona State covering the 2.5 versus Iowa State there. I think Arizona State is showing you that they are the better football team at this point. And you got to give Iowa State a ton of credit for even being in the position that they are this year, especially, with the, I don't want to say lack of talent, but just compared to a lot of the other schools in the Big 12, the talent does not stack up compared to your Colorados, even Arizona States and Kansas and things like that. So with all that said, though, I like Arizona State to cover the 2.5 and take care of business to punch their ticket to the college football playoff.
Liking it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a great week next week. Tune in to Coast Saturday morning, talk more college football. Let's just quickly run through this UFC card as quick as possible.
Yeah.
Man.
Not really.
This is such a joke. Shavkat fighting Ian Machado Gary is the co-main event of the evening. I can't believe they're charging people to watch this shit.
Yeah. If it was a fight night, this is actually a really decent card. But for it to be $100 for this, wild.
I'm going to throw Cyril Gahn back in there. Oh, God. Thug Nasty, Bryce Mitchell.
I will say I'm a Kron Gracie fan, though, personally. So I do want to see that fight. And you also have weird fights on the undercard. Dominic Reyes and Anthony Smith. You got Aljamain Sterling fighting on the undercard. It's just altogether, the card as a whole is decent, but the top of the top, and granted, we're here.
Wait, Mobstar's fighting Aljamain on the undercard?
On the undercard.
Yeah. The co-main event of the evening.
Could be. 100%
I think
could be.
It's one of those cards where it has a lot of good fights, and there's just
why is Mobstar fighting Aljamain Sterling on the undercard?
Not one clue. But the card got screwed up because Bilal had to pull out with injury. It was supposed to be Bilal and Shavkat headlining this fight. Bilal had to pull out for the injury, and so now that co-main, it's a five-round fight, basically for a number one contender to fight Bilal next.
I got Pantoja, and I have Shavkat. They're my two picks.
Same.
I'm rolling with Shavkat as well. I mean, I think he'll be able to dominate Ian. They've already actually sparred against each other apparently and have trained against each other. And Ian said that Shavkat choked him out. So I was like, I don't know if that was something that I would have said out loud, but yeah, I got Shavkat on that one for sure. The flyweight championship is going to be actually really interesting. This will be Kai's first fight in the UFC. He's coming over from one, I believe, and he's undefeated. Obviously, Pantoja's undefeated. This fight has the potential to be really freaking good. I'm gonna roll with
undefeated, bro.
What'd you say?
Kai is not undefeated.
I thought both these guys were undefeated.
Kai has 4 losses. I watched his loss to here. Hiro
Oh,
Masa.
he's 28. He's 28-5, and then he's 21-4. Shafkat and Ian are undefeated.
Sorry.
My apologies.
No, you're good. I watched this kid fight. He's okay. He was the champion over Risen.
But yeah, I'm rolling with Pantoja here, but I think that this fight will be very, very close. I'll say that. It's new territory. The flyweights, they always fight each other. They know what the style, like stylistically, what to expect there. I think with this being something that's brand new for him, it's gonna be a good fight.
Pantoja's battle tested, man. I think Pantoja handles this fight. I don't think it's rather close. I've seen Kai fight before. I think Pantoja runs through him. I think it runs through him. You know, I don't think it's close. I think it's 4-1 on the scorecards. If it gets to a scorecard, I can also see Pantoja win this fight by submission. I think he can take him down. He can handle him on the ground. I like Pantoja anyway. I'll go Pantoja in a 4-1 decision.
I'll say Pantoja ends it in the 4th.
Submission?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to knock him out.
No.
Like, he's not. Sorry.
Yeah, that card is very underwhelming.
Yeah, super underwhelming. UFC needs to get their shit together right now.
I will say, though, they did just announce, and I know we're going to talk about it more when it happens, but they did just announce that for 3/11, the very next pay-per-view, the first pay-per-view of 2025, you're going to get Islam Makhachev versus Arman Sarukian 2 for the belt. And then that co-main is going to be Merab versus Umar Nurmagomedov. So they're going to bring in the year the right way. But this one, you're ending the year garbage.
It's also a 12 noon card that's going to be in Abu Dhabi.
No, it's in LA.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, what am I looking at? Oh, I was looking at the never mind. I was looking at the Bellator Dubai series. My apologies.
Yeah, it's in LA, so it'll be normal.
Wait, is I think Yuri Prochazka versus Jamal Hill's on that card too.
I think so as well.
Should be fun. Let's get into You Got to Be Kidding Me, gentlemen.
All right.
One this week, and if either one of you guys steal it, I'm gonna be mad.
You said you have a what one this week?
A great one this week.
All right. Well, mine is kind of close to home to you guys because you guys got to see it firsthand. Were you going to use Deontay Johnson?
Yep. Yeah.
All right. No, I'll let you use.
No, you got it.
I got another one anyway. I got
a backup.
I also have a backup, and I
right.
wanted to bring it up earlier, but we didn't really have time to, so I'll bring it up now. My issue is going to be with this fake outrage and fake outcry with rivalries across college football. So recently, you've seen this past weekend there was a ton of fights that happened, flag planting, all that kind of stuff. I absolutely hate that the media is trying to create this like fake outrage. These things are good for the sport. You guys use all of this footage all the time for the pregame hype videos, to marketing for the games, and all this other stuff. Michigan trying to plant the flag at Ohio State. They won the football game. They had no business winning the football game. They 100% have the right to go and try to plant that flag. I'm not mad at them for doing that. I'm also not mad at Ohio State for saying, this is our home turf. We're gonna protect it. We're gonna do everything that we can to make sure that doesn't happen. I have no issue with what happened at the end of that game. I also think, to just branch off that slightly, the officers that were on the field just randomly spraying pepper spray in the air with Ohio State and Michigan players all in a circle is absolutely nuts. Like, you have to
be fair, though, they sprayed it at the Michigan players.
No, they sprayed it up in the air. Ohio State players got hit too. There's video of it literally in the middle of the pile. I know you see the Michigan, they cut to the Michigan players with their eyes covered, but they just sprayed it up in the air and it was hitting everybody in that vicinity. It was absolutely stupid. But with all that said, though, that is the thing that makes these college rivalries great. That's what makes college football so special. You win, you want to plant the flag. Baker planted his flag at Ohio Stadium before. You seen it was North Carolina, NC State. It was, you could go on. There was like 8 different games where you saw fights like start to break out. I don't want to see players getting punched and things like that, but the little scuffles, the pettiness, that's what make rivalry week as great as it is. So this week for me, just the media really trying to paint these bad narratives about how it's bad for the game, and they're still the ones that are using it for all the hype videos and all that other garbage. This week for me.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
Callie. I just, Chad, do you have any thoughts on that? Because I honestly believe that the rivalries in college football and flag planting has been around for a long time. It's getting obviously a little bit more. And first of all, let me just be very clear. If I was an Ohio State player, forget Ohio State. Let me just take Ohio State and Michigan off the table. And someone was planting a flag on my home stadium in a rivalry game, I would go over and stop that. I would do my absolute best to stop that. I don't dislike the Ohio State players for doing that. I don't call it sour grapes. I don't call it you should have won. Yeah, they should have won. Granted, I get it. You lost the football game. You're adding insult by injury by playing our stadium. No one disrespects us on our home turf. With that being said, let a small scuffle ensue and pull them apart, and that is what it is.
Yep, that's where I'm at.
I literally verbatim to a T agree with Cottrell on all of it. And I guarantee you, when you turn into the game, when you turn into that to the pregame show next week, I guarantee you that scene that ended that game will be the first thing they show next year on Fox, and they'll have no problem doing it.
Yep.
But me,
Right.
I'm going to Major League Baseball, and I'm getting ahead of this right now before it even becomes a thing. Rob Manfred apparently came out and said that the possibility of adding the golden rule is starting to create a lot of buzz, and it's picking up a lot of steam behind closed doors, which I don't believe. I believe it's him trying to get support to make an absolute rule that will just absolutely destroy baseball. If you're not familiar with what the rule is, it pretty much will allow any manager to pluck a guy out of a lineup and put him up at any given time, one time in a game. So if it's the bottom of the ninth and your 6, 7, and 8 hitters get on somehow, Rob Thompson could call timeout for the Phillies, and instead of Brandon Marsh batting, he'll just be like, I'll grab Bryce Harper and he's going to bat now. That's literally what the rule would be. It's disgusting. It's stupid. It's just comical. It reminds me of something you would see like an MTV, like Rocket Sock, like softball game. It's just awful. I know he's not running for re-election. I know when he's done. I cannot wait for the minute that this guy is away from baseball. And I can't say that any more calmly and less passionately without me going on a rant and saying something that'll probably get us in trouble. This guy has done not one positive thing for the game. He forced the pitch clock down our throat. We have bigger bases now. You can't slide certain ways now. We have a guy on second base to start extra innings now. He is literally almost just completely torn the fabric of the tradition of baseball away from the sport because he's so obsessed with trying to make it entertainment. That's not what anybody wants. Baseball is never going to be a sport that you're going to be able to label entertainment. So for 1 week again, and I'm sure this will not be the last, and he's the top of my leaderboard for this stupid segment. Rob Manfred.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
Now, I got to be completely honest with you guys. I did not know the internal issues that was happening with Deontay Johnson and the Baltimore Ravens prior to this week, before the Eagles game. I'm like, he's getting accustomed to the playbook. He's not getting involved much. Lamar is a very see-it type passer. He's always been that type of guy. It's why Jalen Hurts struggles with new wide receivers. He has to know where they're going to be. He's not a great anticipatory thrower, so maybe they're working kinks out at practice. But Deontay Johnson has really not played much for the Baltimore Ravens after the Baltimore Ravens acquired him from the Carolina Panthers. It all came to a head this Sunday when Rashad Bateman got hurt and Deontay Johnson refused to enter the game. I was wondering why Nelson Aguilar was helping the Eagles out once again by dropping another football. I'm like, why is Aguilar in the game? They got Zay Flowers. Like, where's Deontay Johnson? And then you find out later that he refused to enter the football game. I never seen this before. You're under contract getting game checks, and you're refusing to play football at home. You got a receiver hurt. Your team needs you, and you're just like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to stay on the sideline. The Baltimore Ravens have suspended Deontay Johnson for one football game for contract, detrimental to the team, and they're making a decision on whether or not they're going to release him or not. They do release him, they're going to owe him a ton of money that they don't want to pay. So don't hold your breath for the Ravens to just release him. There's got to be some type of stipulation in the NFL for a player that just refuses to go in a football game. Not injured, no issues, just refuses to go. I'm not being used to my capabilities. I am sick to my stomach to think that there's a wide receiver in the NFL making more money than I'll ever earn. Hopefully not more than I'll ever earn, but more money than I've ever earned in my life that's refusing to play the game of football to be paid that. The Lamar Jackson commented after the game. He said, of course we want him out there. We didn't go trade for him from Carolina for nothing. He's a great player. Deontay Johnson is digging himself a huge hole, and a hole that I do not think he's going to like next year when he hits free agency. I think he's costing himself a lot of money. And in that situation, you cannot do that, especially with the injury to Rashad Bateman. So for that, this week, Baltimore Ravens wide receiver Deontay Johnson.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
Anything you were going to add to that, Cottrell?
No, I mean, I was just going to say, I mean, you quite literally have already cost yourself a ton of money, and you already have this shit reputation. You started in Pittsburgh, you cried your way out of there. Then you got to Carolina. Carolina gives you a fresh start, and I get it. Things were awful there, but while things were awful, you literally went from being on one of the worst organizations in all of football to a team that could potentially win the Super Bowl this year. And it is your, third, fourth week in the Baltimore Ravens uniform, and you're mad they're not giving you snaps. Maybe one of them is because they don't trust you yet in the system. Maybe it's because they have an idea for certain things that you want to run. Guess what? Derrick Henry was a bell cow when he was with Tennessee, and there's so many games where you see at the end of the game, they got Justice Hill tried it back there. You don't see Derrick Henry on the sidelines pouting because he's not in the game to block for Lamar or, catch passes out the backfield. It's just an awful look for Deontay Johnson in this one, especially given the fact that I'm sure he was miserable in Carolina, and now he gets to go to a winning culture that's literally gone to the playoffs pretty much every year at this point for the last 5 seasons. So you go there and you're not happy about playing time, and then you get an opportunity. You're like, I'm not going to the game. Most normal people with the correct mindset and just that drive would say, hey, I'm going to show these guys why I need to be out on the field every single play moving forward.
I love that. That's exactly what my mentality is at. Guys, any final thoughts to wrap up a fun show?
I got nothing.
Nada.
Well, I really appreciate everybody tuning in this week to Wire2Wire Sports Podcast. The numbers have been great on our downloads through Libsyn. Appreciate you. Our views, 1,800 just last week. Really, really happy with the overall support, and I appreciate it. It doesn't happen without you guys. So thank you so much for everything you bring to the program. Thank you for everybody in the comments, checking us out all show. John Suggs might have broke a record for how many comments. Really appreciate you. Kneecap biting, Derek Dempsey, Danny Dempsey, all you guys. Tim Todd, who checks in every week. Brad Atkins. I'm just going to run out of names. I apologize. Thank you guys for everything you do. I'm the NFL Genius, Gene Walzak. That's Kent State's own, Cleveland's own College Cottrell, Uncle Shally, Scholastic Shally, Mr. William Shawcross, and we are signing out.